All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for The Dan Bongino Show.
This is, I gotta tell you, freaking amazing for all the wrong reasons to watch. How you've seen this operation in Iran succeed beyond any possible, whatever objective criteria you had for success has been met. Navy wiped out, their surface-to-air missile air defense system completely wiped out, nuclear program, and facilities just destroyed, IRGC commanders dead, the Iranian mullah theocracy dead. You get their new, the Ayatollah, no one's even seen him. He's issuing like Twitter statements. All of this stuff has happened because a builder from New York saw things differently than others. And instead of celebrating said builder, who is now the second-term president of the United States, Donald Trump, and saying, my gosh, that was a visionary way to do things. We've had casualties, but they've been minimized compared to other conflicts. Instead of celebrating them, you've got these prior military folks, Mattis now and McChrystal, going after Hegseth and Donald Trump instead of saying, man, you know what? Maybe these guys were kind of onto something. Folks, I pointed it out to you over and over. I got a nice email from a listener yesterday, you know who you are, and said, Dan, I don't care what anybody says. Thank you for talking about this stuff. I've got my niece and granddaughter coming over to me, suggesting the Israelis killed Charlie Kirk. I can't believe it. I've never seen anything like this. Keep calling this counter-messaging stuff out. Of course we're going to do that. The counter-messaging on Iran is just as bad. It's incredible. Mattis and McChrystal, these guys with long, decorated military histories, instead of just saying like maybe 30, 40 years of white paper planning on what to do about Iran was just ripped up and torn out by a guy who was a builder and real estate developer in New York who just thought differently than you, and maybe it's working out better his way than your way. Maybe just admit it. I'm going to show you what I mean because he was very clear, the president and Secretary Hegseth, what the objectives. This was not going to be a forever war. According to open source, I'll show you some stuff in Axios and some other things. He's looking at an exit plan now, had an entrance plan, has an exit plan now, and these folks are still counter-messaging. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. I got that, and I want to show you an article at the beginning of the show in the Washington Post. Now that I've seen both sides of this, how the media, I'm telling you, just makes things up. This one, I have direct experience, even cite me in the article. And yet, I don't recall anybody reaching out to me for comment. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't talk to these losers anyway. However, I'm going to show you what I mean, how they just make stuff up completely. With direct experience. Today's show brought to you by All Family Pharmacy. We prepare financially. We protect our homes. We think about security. So why wouldn't you prepare your medicine cabinet the same way? It's just common sense. I live down here in South Florida. Emergencies, hurricanes, things like that happen here all the time on a regular basis. I have focused on preparedness for a long time. One of the things that was missing in my preparedness kit, though, was vital medicines, antibiotics, and other vital medicines. In an emergency, what are you going to do? Knock on the pharmacy window? They're closed, too. They got the hurricane shutters down. You got to get prepared now. That's why I recommend All Family Pharmacy. They let you order ahead. Stock your medicine cabinet for 3 to 6 months so you're not running dry of these vital medications every 30 days or, God forbid, in an emergency. We're talking essentials like NAD+, huge fan of that one, antibiotics, ivermectin, mebendazole, blood pressure medications, and over 300 other prescription medications. They're a licensed U.S. pharmacy focused on access and transparency. Just complete the form online. It's simple. A licensed doctor will review it and provide the prescription, and your medication will ship straight to your door. Stock up today. Get what you need today. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino10 for 10% off. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Bongino. Use promo code Bongino10 for 10% off. Do it today. This is not medical advice. Consult a licensed healthcare professional before taking any prescription medication. Thank you, All Family Pharmacy. Fellas, let's go. You know what? Before I even get into the whole these prior, military geniuses who are now attacking Donald Trump as we've engaged in the most successful short-term military action probably in modern U.S. history by any objective standard. Guys, we're going way out of order today. Pull up that Brett Stevens article. I'm sorry. I'm really going to confuse you. This wasn't even for later in the show. Brett Stevens, New York Times. Can we just get this out of the way that this guy is no fan of Donald Trump? I'm using the, keep it up. Don't turn this. I'm keeping this on the screen here for a reason, and I'm using the New York Times for a reason. This is not an outlet that likes Donald Trump. Brett Stevens is no Trump guy. This is their own writing about the current status of the Iranian war. The war is going better than you think. If past generations could see how well this war has gone compared with the ones they were compelled to fight at a frightening cost, they would marvel at their posterity's comparative good fortune. They would marvel, too, at our inability to appreciate the advantages we now possess. I'll bring that up again, hopefully, later in the show, but you get the point. American military technological superiority has absolutely wiped out the Iranian regime. No matter how you measure this, by any freaking normal, sane person's reasonable, logical, objective standard, boats left, military capacity, leaders wiped out, institutional infrastructure, paramilitary street thugs wiped out. By any measure, this has been a huge victory. And the counter messaging out there by Mattis and McChrystal, who are now, for some bizarre reason, convinced their, prior strategy and other military prior strategies that never worked, they have to go and defend that? Just admit you were wrong. All right, I dug into the topic. I know some of you say I get a little late. I do, but while we're on this topic, this surfaced this morning in Axios' morning newsletter. I subscribe to these things because I like to see what the left is thinking. They're actually very helpful for show prep. A lot of leakers run all over the place to them. You don't know how much of it's true or how much of it isn't. I will just caveat that a lot of anonymous sources. However, sometimes these outlets, sometimes a blind squirrel actually gets a nut. Here's Axios this morning about some plans supposedly that the Trump administration is putting together for a massive final knockout punch and in an exit, which I think, not having been briefed in, I've been out of the government for a while. However, and Secretary of War has their own operation. They don't, brief in the FBI and everything. Obviously, I don't want to over-exaggerate here. However, the Pentagon is now developing military options for a final blow in Iran that could include ground forces and a massive bombing campaign. Barik Ravid and Mark Caputo write. They say a dramatic military escalation, will grow more likely if no progress is made in diplomatic talks, and in particular if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. There's some options they talk about here involving Karg Island and other islands as well in the Gulf in that region there. So you can look at this yourself. But it's clear from this, and these reporters are both pretty well sourced. It's pretty clear from this that the administration is laying down markers for an exit plan. Folks, for those of us that have argued and run for office against whatever you want to call them, forever wars, and I was one of them. I ran for office. I did not support the Iraq war. I had spoken often about the podcast. Gosh, man, just go back and look. The whole library's there if you're bored one day. Not that anyone would care, but it's there. The receipts are there. I argued forever for a strong exit plan from Afghanistan. The problem with a lot of these foreign hostilities is we get in them with no exit plan. Trump's giving you the exit plan. It's already surfacing in media outlets that aren't even friendly to him. He is not there for a forever war. He is there with a certain set of metrics. Those metrics are close to being accomplished. He's given the Iranians one last diplomatic push, if you believe this source. And if it doesn't happen, there's going to be a final knockout punch. And then he's pulling out of there to get back to what we have to do here. Every single thing we've advocated against, forever wars, death to America, terrorists, all this stuff has been accomplished. Why are all these former military guys bitching and moaning? The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is this. They have anchored their entire careers, the Mattises, the McChrystals, and others. And I want to say, again, thank you for your service, okay? That's separate from your opinions, which are not always going to be valid. They have anchored, many of them, their entire careers around military and other white papers that were written about strategies that just haven't worked. And now they're watching, I'm not even beyond these two, but this larger class of former think tankers and others. I wrote a 100-page white paper, 1,000-page white paper on how we should manage the Iranian mullahs. All of that shit got thrown out the window by a builder and real estate developer from New York who just had a better idea than you. Just imagine, like, if you were a professor with some theory on, of relativity or something like that, astrophysics. And then some new guy comes along with no experience in astrophysics at all. He does like the Matt Damon Good Will Hunting, goes on the chalkboard and goes, hey, your stupid equation you've worked for 50 years on is all wrong. How would you feel? Or that is fantastic, Justin. Or something crazy like a former plumber becomes a DHS secretary. Oh, that happened. And of course, Jimmy Kimmel had to shit on him, of course, because, plumbers, by the way, Jimmy, my dad was a plumber. My dad's a pretty great guy. See, plumbers actually do stuff. They actually fix things. The reason we have a world full of sanitation where we're not all running around with nasty viruses and bugs all the time is because plumbers who do all the tough work make sure we can manage massive amounts of human waste that people like you, Jimmy, produce. You'd be dead without plumbers. You ever see that movie, 7 Days in Entebbe? The true story about the hijacking? Where the pilot, they hijack the plane, they take it to Entebbe, these revolutionaries. And there's a backup in the bathroom where the hostages are and the pilot's fixing it. And the revolutionary goofball is making fun of plumbers and the pilot looks at him and he says, I'd trade one plumber for 1,000 revolutionaries. I would too. See, the thing about plumbers is they use their skills and their mind and their hands to make the world just a little bit safer and a cleaner place for all of us to live in. We wouldn't be able to live without plumbers who manage to do things people like Jimmy Kimmel can't never be able to do. Did you see this clip, by the way? Now we're way out of order. Justin's like, are you even going to get back on track? No, I'm not, because it's my show. Here's Jimmy Kimmel making fun of Mark Wayne Mullen, our new DHS secretary, because God forbid, guy was a plumber. Check this out.
Giuliani might not be with us much longer, but don't worry, Trump's got a whole new generation of thinkers lined up, including his newly confirmed Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne, Chuck Mike, Bruce Dave Mullen. Maybe Mellon's better. He is the now former senator of Oklahoma. Before he was elected to the Senate, Mark Wayne Mullen was a low-level MMA fighter and a plumber. That's right. We have a plumber protecting us from terrorism now.
Jimmy, I want to say something different right now, but I promise you I'm really trying to reduce the F-bombs on the show. So I'm going to pass on that. I'd give you a language alert here. But, you can take all that, the script. I'm sure someone wrote it down for you somewhere. Hey, Jim, we couldn't do this on radio. I think you know that. However, on the podcast, we can do kind of whatever we want. Take the script, and a little paper. It's probably a big stack to roll it up in a ball, Jimmy. That script edge. If you're listening on Apple and Spotify, I'm very sorry. It'd be difficult to read my lips. Videos only on Rumble. Thank you to all the plumbers out there. Any plumbers in the chat? By the way, that's how the left looks at you, by the way. Remember, the left, these goofball shitheads on the left like Jimmy Kimmel, who's a comedian and not a particularly funny one, by the way. I think Gutfeld's got better ratings than him, and they're not even on broadcast. It's just on cable, which is hilarious if you ask me. That is amazing. You're not even on free broadcast networks, and you still got better ratings than like the king of late night, blackface Jimmy Kimmel or whatever. Here's the thing about the left and the Jimmy Kimmels of the world. Remember this. Everybody write this down. The left lives in the world of ideas. They're only infrequently smacked in the face by reality. Jimmy Kimmel is a rich Hollywood zero. He does not interact with the real world, and when he does, I promise he finds you to be a nuisance. He does. He doesn't want to associate with the great unwashed. The plumbers of the world that deal with normal, everyday people every day in their homes who are having problems, you've got all this fancy plumbing equipment now. These guys have to know a lot. like a lot. One day I had a problem with a piece of my house. I turned on a YouTube video. It was like 30 minutes long about all the things you had to do with this hot water heater. I might just call the plumber. Guy came over, bang, 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 done. You know why? They're really smart and they know what they're doing. Unlike this dipshit who reads from a prompter. What's the joke? The plumber, back way, the plumber, stupid guy, plumber. Unlike me, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy lives in the world of ideas. Communism, leftist fascism, leftist national socialism. They live in the world of ideas where all this stuff is democratic, socialism, all the same crap. And then when those ideas are implemented in the real world, they get, kick me into Jimmy. They get the right in from the old Beavis and Butthead cartoon. And when the world kicks them in the balls and crime goes crazy and rents are out of control and Walgreens is moving out of San Francisco, in other words, the world of ideas becomes the world of reality. People like Jimmy Kimmel start calling in the plumbers to fix it. And you know what? They always show up. If the plumbers ever said, you know what, Jimmy Kimmel, there, double-barrel middle finger to you, you can fix the backup or the hot water heater in your own house, and you can go yourself and take the script and shove it right up. Then, Jimmy, good luck. Good luck. You give it a shot. I didn't even want to spend, you know what? I know you saw a lot of this, folks, and I didn't want to spend a ton of time on it, but I'm going to tell you something. I mean, I am sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of listening to liberal assholes shit on people every single day who use these two things called hands to go and add value to the world. And because they suck and don't do shit and live in the world of ideas like Jimmy Kimmel, they don't want the rest of the world to live in the real world either and have the glorious experience of using your hands to change the world a little bit and have somebody thank you for it. So what do? That's why they love the welfare state. That's why they love the government to pay you to do everything. That's why they don't want you to ever have to work to gain money from someone who appreciated your services enough to pay you, because they don't want the reward of you having used your mind and your hands to change the world a little bit for someone else who compensates you with value in return. They don't want any of that. They want you sucking on the government teat all the time. All the time. That is all they care about. They don't give a shit about you. Pull up that Bobby Kennedy video. There's a video of Bobby Kennedy talking about the prior Biden administration. This is what I'm talking about. They just want you suckling on the government teat. They don't want you going out becoming a plumber or an electrician and adding serious value to the world with your hands and your mind. They don't want that. Because then their whole idea of you being a victim goes away. I'm not a victim. I just fixed this lady's hot water heater. It's very complicated. She gave me $500. Wow, look how great this is in the world. I add value. She adds value to my life. This is incredible. That's not how the Soviet communist leftist model works. The leftist model is sit on your ass in the seat, do nothing all day. We will steal the money from the actual plumbers and electricians who work for a living and give it to people who don't work, as long as you do one thing for us. And what is it? What is it? What is it? Yes, vote. As long as you vote to give us power. Sit your ass in a seat. We'll pay you to sit your ass in a seat as long as you show up and vote or someone ballot harvests a vote for you. We don't care. Just God forbid you get out in the workforce and start to do your own work. You'll never vote for us again. Here's Bobby Kennedy, and it's real. I don't know if you saw this clip. If not, you should. Here he is talking about how the Biden administration didn't really care about fraud controls and government programs like Medicare and Medicaid. You think fraud control would be a big deal, right? Because it takes money from people, elderly folks and sick people actually need this kind of health care. You think the Democrats care about fraud? The Democrats don't give a shit. They care about power and expanding enrollment, even if you don't belong there. Don't listen to me. Listen to him. Check this out.
Not a partisan person, but one of the things that I found out from people in my agency was they were ordered by the Biden White House not to do program integrity. In other words, not to enforce against fraud. And they said they were told, we want to focus on only enrollment and getting more and more people into the system.
He runs the whole department. You think he's making that up? Folks, these people, if you were voting for a leftist and you were a working class American in a union, not in a union, it doesn't matter. Number one, thank you. I mean it. You are always welcome here. I grew up in a family of electricians and plumbers, and this is what people did. They went out and worked for, I was a street cop with the NYPD, and not manual labor per se, but not non-manual labor when you got in a foot pursuit either. I didn't have to construct anything. We had normal jobs like normal people. Do you understand these people hate you? They hate your guts. You may, Jimmy Kimmel's not running for office. You've already heard Elizabeth Warren and others. You didn't build that. Obama, you didn't build that. You've heard these people talk like this all the time. They say this all the time. You didn't build, the government did this for you. The government didn't do shit. The government steals people's money. Outside of our military and law enforcement, I'd rather the government do nothing and leave it up to state and locals. They can't manage their way out of a wet paper bag. Because this is the important part. I'm going to play this clip here with Jon Stewart coming up in a second here. Jon Stewart, big time hardcore leftist, has this like eureka moment on the air. Eureka moment on the air where everything I just told you, the difference between us and the left, they live in the world of ideas. We live in the world of reality. We live in a world of trade-offs. Here's Jon Stewart in this clip with Bernie Sanders. It's insane, like finally figuring out that everything the government gets involved in and sticks its filthy tentacles in, prices go up and efficiency goes down. This isn't me talking. This is a hardcore leftist who loves big government. I would assume. Maybe not. Check this out.
This gets to the democratic solutions have never been to directly provide. It's always been a subsidy
Absolutely
to a middleman. But what happens is when the government promises endless funds to insurance companies or private universities without any cost controls, and Trump seems to understand this, prices rise far beyond the rate of inflation. And we've seen it in tuition, and we've seen it in pharmaceutical, and we've seen it in healthcare. So my question is, will Democrats recognize the poison pill that they've often placed into well-intentioned policy?
Right.
He just said it. Thank you, Jon Stewart. These guys live in the world of well-intentioned policy. His words, in other words, ideas. And they want to keep you out of the real world. Because what happens in the real world to ideas? They're tested. They're tested. And most government ideas that are tested turn out to be what, Justin? Yes, he's making a thumbs down. Shit. Rent control, government takeover of your retirement system they've spent, government takeover of healthcare, which has blown it. He's acknowledging this. So Democrats, to keep their power structure and their voter base from going anywhere so they can win an election that never works in the real world, only in the world of freaking ideas, has to do what? Has to keep you out of the real world so you don't see the ideas kicking you in the balls and feel them. How do they keep you out of the real world? By sticking your butt, your ass in a chair on a sofa and paying you to do nothing. Now does the whole puzzle make sense? The Democrats want to enroll you in healthcare, whether you belong there or not, paid for by other taxpayers, because they don't want you to actually go get a job that would give you healthcare, because that would put you in the real world, where you would start to see that your money's being stolen by the government and wasted by ridiculously confiscatory tax rates. You would start to find out that people who don't work and claim victim status are usually parasites on an organization and be like, wow, does that happen in government too? Oh, it would be a eureka moment like Jon Stewart just had. That's why you're seeing this push. Here comes the cherry on top. I plan on putting this in there today, but I'm gonna. You're going to see a push with this AI revolution going forward for UBI, Universal Basic Income. Do not fall for the bullshit. This is a liberal-led effort which is suckered in some Republicans because they think artificial intelligence, we've heard this a million times, going to take every single job. We've heard this over and over about new technology, from electricity on to the steam engine, onto the gasoline-powered engine. They're going to cost everyone their jobs. Meanwhile, everybody's richer. They're saying this artificial intelligence is going to wipe out everybody's job. Everyone should get a universal basic income. We should just give people money to live. What they really mean is we should give people money to stay home. Because they don't want you in reality. Because people who live in reality, plumbers, tend to vote for people like Republicans and conservatives. The Republican Party's become a middle-class party. They can't have you in reality. They need you on your ass. And a universal basic income is the way to do it. This is why you're going to see them now make the... Hey, guys, flag it. Red flags in the chat, please. Chat, come on. We got to get on this. This is important. You're going to see going forward, because this is what Jon Stewart's doing. It's actually pretty clever, I think. They're going to start not bashing the government victimhood model of stealing from successful people and redistributing the money. Thank you. Chat, blow it up. Love it. Love to see it. They're going to argue now, not that the government model is wrong, just the middlemen. Like, well, we shouldn't be giving money to insurance companies. We should just give people money in general and let them do it. Watch. Flags in the chat. When it happens, you're going to be like, shit, Bongino was right again. Crazy. You know what the flip of the switch was? All those arrests out of Minnesota and the new autism scam with the autism centers they've been pulling off, and the Minnesota fraud and all the arrests that came out of that. That was the switch. They saw the damage it did to Tim Walz. They're realizing that independent journalists like that Nick Shirley young man are going to go out there and expose this stuff. The Democrats know they're going to have egg on their face, and they are not going to stop trying to take money from successful people to redistribute it. Mark the segment, man. They're going to start saying now, no, those rich people still don't deserve that money, and the successful people, we're going to take it, but we're just going to redistribute it because of universal basic income and artificial intelligence and that kind of stuff. And yes, there's been some fraud, and that's just the way. Remember this show? Remember this show. All right, quick break, and am I allowed to do, because it's been a heavy couple shows, can we just acknowledge that the last few days? It's been an emotional roller coaster, folks. I care about a lot of people in this movement. I've done a lot for a lot of people. People done a lot for me. It's not unique to me. But just to watch some of these people collapse, it's been such I came home and I was talking yesterday to Paula, and I said, it's hard to watch this, but there is so much good stuff happening too. And something happened in the Oval the other day. The video. All right. Hold on. You got to watch this coming up. I don't even know how to describe it. It's about a serious thing, but it's just funny. Quick break, and we'll get back to that. Kalshi, today's show brought to you by Kalshi.com/Bongino. Folks, I'm not a huge gambler, but I've been having a lot of fun looking at marketplace predictions for everything from politics to sports. And Kalshi is where I get the best insights on predictions, from sports to politics to finance or any variety of markets people are monitoring. Kalshi.com is a bookmark you need. I featured them in my last election special. They were spot on. Our president was elected as predicted. Kalshi.com is one of the only places where you can trade on real-world events in all 50 states. Go to KALSHI.com, Kalshi.com/Bongino, and get a free $10 credit when you trade $100. It's not just politics or economics. They've got markets on everything from sports to pop culture to climate predictions. Kalshi has a pulse on what the world thinks will happen. Go to Kalshi.com/Bongino and get a free $10 credit when you trade $100. That's KALSHI, Kalshi.com/Bongino. You must be 21 and the purchaser must be present in the state where the trade is placed. See important disclosures at Kalshi.com. Kalshi is subject to U.S. regulatory oversight by the CFTC. Thank you, Kalshi. Kalshi.com/Bongino. Check it out. I got to show you this just for a little bit of humor. So our great Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who again has beaten all the pundits and everyone else who had their grand Iran plans, all of them. And turns out that Hegseth, Rubio, and President Trump figured it out there on their own. Here's Pete giving a quick speech in the Oval Office, and he makes a hand gesture. And I want you to watch, not so much Pete, but President Trump's eye. The
President has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield.
Can you guys just skip to the end of that part? And folks, if you're listening on an Apple or Spotify, I'm begging you with every fiber of my collagen, tissue, and DNA to just tune into the show at this point. Here, look at the... This guy's the best. I'm sorry, we don't deserve this man. We don't, Peter? Well, we don't, President Trump, we just don't deserve this guy. Here, you want to understand why this guy is so relatable? There you go. He's just funny. Pete's making a gesture like that old shake weight. If you saw remember the shake weight from like the 90s? Or yeah. Josh is like, yeah, I remember. Everybody saw that commercial. And the president's like, interesting. A lot of Muttley's in the chat on that one. We love you, Joe Armacost. Muttley's in the chat everywhere. Come on. And then I saw this yesterday. And I don't want to do, it's not a comedy show. I'm not trying to be the funny guy, but this is going to segue nicely back into serious stuff about these airport closures and how the Democrats, this is a model of how when you live in the world of ideas, when reality kicks you in the nuts, it's kind of hard to accept. And a lot of people who are Democrats are being forced to wait on airport lines right now because the Democrats will not let them through the TSA in a normal functioning way because they shut it down. So they catch up with this guy. This guy is a Brooklyn resident. I only know that because in the chyron of this, if you haven't seen this, it's kind of funny. It's really short. But this is going to explain Donald Trump, who is rich like a lot of leftists. He's richer than a lot of them, but lives in the real world. This clip is going to explain this, and we're going to tie it into the airport story in a way you probably haven't heard before. I really miss this kind of stuff. Check this out.
All right, they're good to hear to help. They're not bothering nobody. As long as they can check my bags and get me on my flight, I'm good to go. Right? I want to get to the Bahamas. I want out of here.
So I got to tell you, having been out of New York for quite a long time right now, I miss the Brooklyn accent. So that is Chris Scaly, I believe, who's become kind of an internet sensation because I just want to go to the Bahamas. I can't even fake a New York accent anymore. I've been gone so long. I left New York a really, really long time ago, like in the early 2000s. It's been over 2 decades. Unfortunately, does anyone in the chat think I still have a New York accent? It has dissipated significantly. However, Chris, anyway, I want to go to the Bahamas. Chris has the New York accent. Chris is just like every typical New Yorker. He's just pissed because he's got to wait in line. I don't know if Chris is a Republican or Democrat. I don't really care. But I miss New York. Now, I say I miss New York, and I put this thing in the show, not just because it's, Dan Bongino comedy break time right now. But when you're from New York, there are 5 boroughs in New York. Donald Trump is from New York. He's from the borough I'm from. By the way, we have the weakest accents. It's probably why mine dissipated. The Queens accent is not as strong as what you just heard, the Brooklyn accent. The Brooklyn kids, if you haven't heard my explanation of Donald Trump, he's from Queens, not Brooklyn. So Queens kids have always had a bit of like a complex where, everything with Queens is always like a fight all the time. Because the Brooklyn kids a lot of times don't have to fight. Because if you were told you're from Brooklyn or you're from Brooklyn and someone tells you that guy's from Brooklyn, everybody assumes you're tough. The Bronx too. So no one wants to fight. Those kids are from Brooklyn. You know how many times I heard that in Queens? Kids are from Brooklyn. You'd be like, damn, better back up. Kid could be 5'2", 27 pounds soaking wet. Everybody's like, don't mess with that guy. He'll probably bite you. He's from Brooklyn. So nobody really messed with them. So they were like the tough guys. And then you had the Manhattan kids that were really super rich and all had a lot of money because they lived in Manhattan, who may not have been tough guys, but everybody was like, man, nice watch, nice car, that guy's got. So they always had the prestige. The Queens kids, we were always scrappy. We had to be scrappy because you weren't assumed to be tough. So you had to duke it out once in a while. And then you didn't have a lot of money like the Manhattan kids either, even though it was kind of a suburb place. That's why Trump and a lot of Queens kids have a chip on their shoulder. That's why he sees things differently. Because he was a Queens guy, for those of you who don't know the backstory, that moved into a very closed off and kind of segregated Manhattan real estate market. And Donald Trump broke the mold. Became a billionaire in a Manhattan market. The Manhattan people, all the upper crust Brahmins, didn't believe he belonged in. And he kicked their ass at their own game. He's used to thinking outside of the box, but he did it with a toe in the real world. How's that, Dan? He's rich. He inherited money growing up. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York business market for real estate is absolutely savage. Let me just give you a small sample of the people Donald Trump had to deal with in case you think, oh, no, he was some rich kid who never had his toe in the real world. Really? You didn't grow up in New York like I did. Folks, New York, when you're trying to build a property, back when Donald Trump was, you're dealing with the mob. You're dealing with unions. I mean unions. Unions that are tough. You're dealing with bureaucrats who are on the take. You're dealing with city officials, interest groups, the Rainbow Coalition, everyone else. Donald Trump had to take all those people, put them in a room and go, hey, in this hole in the ground, I'm building a skyscraper. And he did it. And the people he's dealing with live in the real world. The plumbers union, the electrical union, the steam fitters, the tin knockers. You think this is the first rodeo they played? And you got this new guy from Queens in a Manhattan market where the deals had already been cut. He's like, no, we're making a new deal now. But no, you're smart. He's won the presidency twice, but you're smarter. Again, Donald Trump's just an idiot in the White House. The gatekeepers are keeping information from him. You're smarter than him. We get it. You've won the presidency exactly 0 times. I can make a strong case he's won 3 times. Build huge skyscrapers in the world's worst place to do business. But yes, you're right. He's definitely getting taken by a bunch of people around him who love the guy to death because he's just not smart enough. Dumbasses. But I promised that Washington Post piece. I just want to show you this quick too, just to show you how full of shit the media is. Here's Perry Stein. Remember Perry Stein? Justin, you've been around with this guy. You want to talk about like fake news guy? Perry Stein, the Washington Post. Pam Bondi's post-October 7 task force falters after initial fanfare. I'm actually cited in the piece because I went down and visited them quite a bit, the October 7 task force. Here, I'm just going to throw this out there right now to prove to you that Perry Stein is full of shit. They came in with a pre-existing prior, right? Their prior is this: Donald Trump sucks. Gatekeepers, nobody's doing anything. Where can we write fit a story? October 7th, nothing's happening there either. I can't say too much. However, the October 7th task force sparked an idea in me and Cash to do something that had never been done before, ever in the history of FBI, federal law enforcement, and counterterror, ever. And when the fruits of it show up in the coming years, Perry Stein won't rewrite his piece or anything like that. Perry Stein just heard from an anonymous person again that nothing is happening and ran with the narrative, despite the fact that I'm a personal witness, not just to something happening, but something that has never, ever happened before, that is going to pay dividends 1,000x what we put into him. But he doesn't know that because he's a dipshit who works for the Washington Post. Getting back to the show here. Perry Stein, I don't know. Who cares? I mean, female, it doesn't matter to me. They don't know what a woman is anyway, Geese. So what does it matter? He's like, it's a female. It's right for the Washington Post. Geese says, I think it's a female. They don't know what a female is. How can you say that? Folks, what I said before I meant, and you need to always keep this in the front of your mind when you're evaluating politics, either from the outside, from the leftist collectivists trying to destroy Republicans, conservatives, libertarians in general, or people secreting themselves inside the tent. People who claim to have hidden knowledge or live in the world of ideas. When reality kicks them in the face, you think you would change your priors. They can't do it. That's why I'm so particularly annoyed about the story right now about the DHS funding, because it's a ground ball. They could open the DHS funding spigot up tomorrow and stop hurting you. Why won't they stop hurting you? Producer Jim knows the answer. Because they don't want to. I want you to look at this Fox report. Here's a Fox report. They're starting to now go to airports and interview people online. Folks, these people are really understandably pissed off. But Schumer, Senator Schumer, Democrat zero, and the rest of their party know that inflicting pain on you, that the media will provide air cover for them, and you'll believe the Republicans did this, even though it's clearly on them. Here's a little bit of evidence that it's not working. Check this out.
How long have you guys been waiting in line for?
7 days, no. 2 hours?
2 hours?
We have an 11 a.m. flight.
What has it been like?
Terrible.
What do you want Congress to know, who have the ability to shut this down and reopen and have TSA agents come back to work?
I think Chuck Schumer should be ashamed of himself.
Folks, I'm going to play this next clip next because I want to warn you, and this is, I'm sorry, a little piece of bad news, but necessary news to pass on to the audience that you may not be hearing everywhere else. When you shut some of these things down in the government, there's an impact on the workforce. I saw it. I worked through a government shutdown. That impact on the workforce gets very difficult to spin up again the minute the money starts flowing. In other words, you've got spring break going on right now. People are traveling. You know, we see it. We were out on a trip just recently, and you've got the summer travel season right around the corner. You don't think the Democrats know this? They want to keep this shut down, TSA checkpoints and DHS funding, long enough so that it runs through the summer. Watch, mark my words, so that it runs through the summer, the chaos, hoping that the media blames the chaos on Donald Trump and they can use it in the midterms, despite them shutting this part of the government actually down. Here's the TSA acting administrator up on the Hill saying exactly what I'm telling you, that, hey, once this money starts flowing, it's going to be a while before we even get this up and running. They need a little bit more time to make sure this screws up the whole summer travel season. This is the pain Democrats want to kick you in the balls in the real world we live in. You know, the real world like plumbers and stuff. Listen to the TSA administrator. Check it out.
What happens months down the road because of the 6-month training requirement to get us up to speed? How many months will we be in a very vulnerable situation, even if the shutdown was to end today?
As I mentioned in my opening statement, at this rate and at this point in time, we wouldn't be able to train those officers and put them in place in time for the FIFA World Cup. So, we're facing it come this summer.
Folks, she's telling you, they're not going to be able to ramp all this stuff up in time. This is the purpose of what the Democrats are doing. They will open it up in maybe a week or 2 weeks more, maybe a little, when they figure out the timeline that they can cause maximum impact to kick you in the junk so that your summer travel season, where you go to visit your grandmother or something, is totally effed up. And they hope the media will provide air cover for them, the Perry Steins of the world and others. Why would they hope that? Because the media always runs cover for the Democrats because they are Democrats. You want receipts? I've always got them. Here's an ABC clip from when the DHS funding, the Democrats shut it down just a few weeks ago. Listen to how they're already they don't blame the Democrats directly at all, even though it's the Democrats' fault. They run cover. They make the Republicans pounce kind of argument. Check this out.
The president defends his tariffs over on Capitol Hill tonight. The government is inching closer to a shutdown after Senate Democrats announced they will not support the House-passed funding bill. Now, certainly no one wants to see the government shut down, but Senate Democrats say they're concerned that the current bill would give the Trump administration too much leeway to continue overhauling the government. Instead, they're now hoping for a short-term solution, but the clock is ticking. The government set to shut down Friday at midnight.
You get the narrative? The Democrats are these responsible saints that should be beatified. They're only pushing for a leaner, meaner government. They're only pushing for some minor reforms. They're pushing for open borders in exchange for us not kicking you in the junk at a TSA checkpoint. And what's remarkable about the party of ideas, the Democrats, versus the party of reality, the Republicans, we actually live in the real world. So did Donald Trump. What's remarkable is how suckers keep falling for this. Here's Hakeem Jeffries just the other day. Here's Hakeem Jeffries just the other day. Hakeem Jeffries, of course, is on the House side, the leader of the Democrat tyrannical party. Here he is just the other day arguing how important DHS funding is. Wow, my gosh, that's so weird. And why not open the government? Check this out.
We are here today to do a single job, and that should be to fund fully the Department of Homeland Security. Anything else is an abdication of our responsibility. Anything else is an act of legislative malpractice simply because of the inability of my friends on the other side of the aisle to satisfy the thirst of the extreme right-wing anti-immigration base of the party.
Just kidding. That's Hakeem Jeffries 10 years ago, arguing how important it is to fund DHS. What's Hakeem Jeffries? I don't fund DHS. Who really gives a damn? These are your principled actors on the left, folks. These are your principled. Does it ever bother you if you're a leftist and you're watching this show? I know I get the Media Matters folks are always here. Always, every single time. Does it ever bother you that the people you follow are just constantly full of shit? Here's another gem right here. Here's Chuck Schumer talking about the SAVE Act. Hey, by the way, the Save America Act, which would institute voter integrity measures that roughly about 80% of Americans support. That's an overwhelming freaking mega super majority. They have to lie to you to get you to believe that showing an ID to vote is some kind of intrusion into your life. Except here's the thing. We have actual evidence, like evidence, facts and receipts and stuff, that voter integrity measures implemented at the state level have led to what? Have led to increases in turnout. I'm not telling you that's causal. I'm just telling you they're correlated. So if you're making a statement that voter ID measures are Jim Crow, nobody's going to be able to vote, you would assume voter participation would go down, not up. Here's a side-by-side here of Chuck Schumer explaining to you how the Save America Act is going to stop people from voting. And then there's a news report about Georgia, which in 2021 implemented voter integrity measures. And this is the results in 2022. So voter participation should have gone down, right? If the Democrats were actually honest. Sure. Check this out.
The SAVE Act stays before the Senate, the more obvious it becomes it's not a voter ID bill. It's a voter suppression bill. It's a voter purge bill. The SAVE Act says no more vote by mail, no more driver's licenses to register, no registering online or on campus or at church. Republicans want to pass through the eye of a needle. Republicans want to make Americans pass through the eye of a needle just to exercise your fundamental right to vote.
So right now, early voting is happening across Georgia, and we are already seeing record turnout. After day one, the Secretary of State's office says there was an 85% increase in voters from the last midterm election in 2018 to today.
Hat tip Christian Collins for Texas TX on X for showing us that one. That's a great catch. But I thought Chuck Schumer, who's chronically full of shit, guy should be wearing diapers all the time. You never know when all that stuff's going to come out, right? Chuck Schumer told you voter participation goes down with voter integrity measures. That's weird. That's weird. That was a newscast from Georgia where it went up. It's almost like they're lying. It's almost like they live in a world of ideas. Ideas, you're all racist. Black people don't know how to get a license. And then you move into reality. Hey, everybody's going to need to show a license. And then what happens? A result happens. Voter participation goes up. And it turns out the idea looks like shit. That's why Democrats want to keep you sitting on your butt in a seat in the world of ideas, never in the world of reality, where ideas are tested like that. And the Democrat ideas have a 100% success rate. They do, yes, of failing. Democrat ideas fail every time. You live in a distortion field with these idiots. They are making you wait in ridiculously long lines in the airport. In the most uncomfortable place on earth, outside of like a torture chamber, airports, everybody hates them. Nobody likes them. Even if people work there don't like them. They're making you wait in extra long lines, leave at 4 o'clock in the morning for a 1 p.m. flight, all because they want to protect illegals in the United States because it helps them keep the population up in liberal states. They think they can count in the Electoral College. That is what this is all about. Bring more people in, bring them in illegally, get them out of the real world, stick them in the ideas world, pay them to do nothing, just make sure that they vote, or at least we can count them in the Electoral College so we can continue to fleece presidential elections. That's the plan. I feel really horrible for this gentleman. He lost his daughter in an accident with or DWI with an illegal. I feel horrible. What a tragedy. I can't even imagine. It's Mr. Abraham. He's up as a short clip. I saw this on Libs at TikTok, but he's up on Capitol Hill. He's looking at his own senator from Illinois, who's apparently, this is where the incident happened, around the Chicago area, and doesn't have much to say about that. I'm sure the Durbin and the others, I'm sure they have strong feelings about you sitting on long lines at the airport. They love that. You have anything to say to this gentleman who's been through a horrific tragedy with an illegal? Check this out.
What I don't understand is why my senator of Illinois, Mr. Durbin, haven't heard two words from him toward me. But sorry, I won't take your time. Kind of amazing.
It is amazing for all the wrong reasons, sir. And you're going to hear from me. I am deeply sorry the country let you down like it did under that prior administration. And some weak-kneed Republicans who played along with this open border strategy. I'm deeply sorry. Now you got President Trump, by the way. Again, real estate builder. Oh my gosh, what does he know? Builder, real estate titan. What does he know about government? Gee, I don't know. Government's been U.S. government, Republican and Democrat officials from the legislative and executive branch have been trying to shut down the border to illegal immigration, or at least have said they have. That's probably a better way. Most of them haven't done squat, especially Biden and Obama. But have stated, yeah, we got to stop this illegal immigration thing, and have not been able to do anything. Donald Trump's was in office, what, 2-3 months? And the trickle of people at the border began from an overflow earlier under Biden, and then he's down to zero? That's because Donald Trump doesn't live in the world of ideas. He has the money to, but he chooses not to. He lives in the world of real people. I'm going to spend it. You ever see him in like a fast food place? You seen these viral videos? Margot Martin, she tweets them out all the time. He goes in as president. He doesn't go into like these, I'm sure he eats in restaurants once in a while that are nice, but when he goes on these trips, he likes the fast food places. He likes burgers. You ever see him going in? Does he ever look uncomfortable at all? Folks, you've seen some of these politicians. One I can think of right now who's just great guy, but just really uncomfortable around people. And it's not relatable. Donald Trump is just unbelievably relatable because he lived in the real world of New York real estate development, dealing with real world people, not with the best intentions for him all the time, especially not the mobsters and the others. They would try to shake him down. That's why his social IQ is so much better than these other guys. That's why I'm really annoyed about the media efforts, again, to destroy, I think, what took a lot of guts to go over and take out the Iranian mullah theocracy trying to build nuclear weapons when no one else would do it. And now it looks like he's developing an exit strategy. And no matter when or where he decides to exit, even if he did today with no other action in Iran, there's simply no question, at least now, we're better off than where we were. Drone facilities, missile facilities, their ability to control portions of the country, their support of proxy terror groups in external territories, what's happening in Lebanon. There is no question we're in a better place. I'm telling you, there are people who spent their entire lives studying the Iran problem who were flabbergasted that a builder from New York kicked them in the ass. Put up that Stevens thing again. I can't emphasize this piece enough. Brett Stevens is not a fan of Donald Trump. The New York Times hates him. If this Iranian war is going so poorly, then why the hell would they write a piece like this? You think they're looking to give this guy approval rating points? The war is going better than you think because they're just measuring objective successes. Here's a British Times piece. We were just told by the media a couple days ago, oh man, all our allies just dissed Donald Trump on the straight. Donald Trump has no influence overseas at all. Then I pointed out to you that Donald Trump had a plan for the straight. Plan for the straight, keep that up if you would. The plan for the straight was, listen, we're going to take back the straight. It's going to take a little bit of time. They're going to make threats. The oil market's going to fracture. They need that oil more than we do. They're going to be the ones pressured to get involved in the straight. Now look at this. Unbelievable, Justin. I thought this wasn't happening. The Royal Navy leads talks on a coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. I can't believe it, man. I thought everyone hated Trump, Justin said. Josh said, yeah, they said he hated it. Nobody wants to do anything on the straight, the media told us. Donald Trump lost again. Any apologies? Any corrections? I thought he didn't know what he's doing. It's amazing how this guy who never knows what he's doing. Josh, isn't he? He just gets lucky all the time. Border policy, crime, homicide rate, Maduro, the Ayatollah 2, Ayatollah 3, Ayatollah 7. Incredible. This guy gets lucky a lot, man. Everybody said, we're going to implement these tariffs. The economy's going to collapse. The stock market's hit a few new highs. This guy's just so lucky. It never occurs to the people telling you how lucky Donald Trump is. Then maybe they're just the morons. Here's another. I'm sure this was just an accident, by the way, guys. This guy he tripped and fell or something. The IRGC commander responsible for the strategy to close the strait that the media told you Donald Trump had no plan for. He just disappeared. I don't know what happened. Here's a Fox report. Something might have fallen off a shelf or something. Check this out.
IRGC Navy Commander Alireza Tangsiri was targeted overnight in a strike in the city of Bandar Abbas, Iran, according to a senior Israeli official. Tangsiri was directly responsible for commanding the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. I'm told his senior operational leadership, including intelligence and operations chiefs, were at a covert Navy command center. That, again, according to a senior Israeli official. We understand the battle damage assessment is ongoing, but they believe that he was killed in this strike. It was a targeted strike based on U.S. and Israeli intelligence that continues, according to this source, to demonstrate how deeply the U.S. and Israel are capable of using intelligence operations to penetrate IRGC leadership.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that guy. It's almost like the intelligence we're gathering is pretty damn good as to where these people are because they turn up dead. But it's crazy. There's people out there saying, there's no benefit to intelligence cooperation with overseas, counter-terror authorities. There's no benefit to that at all. And none. We don't get anything out of that. Really? It's almost like they know what they're doing. And you don't or didn't. Folks, I'm not going to spend every day, again, responding to all of the, bullshit out there from commentators some who've done things and then lost their way, some who've done nothing the entire time, just been full of shit. However, I think it's important, again, to answer that lady's email who sent it to me yesterday saying, thank you for doing this. I've got my own grandkids caught in this. Everything's chaos. Everybody's lying to you now all the time. So then what's the point? I don't understand. As I've said over and over, if we're going to win elections and get our people in there, and our people are going to go in there and say, here's what we looked at in the black box we want to look in. Here's what's in the black box. And you're going to say, I don't believe anyone, including the people at the top. Then what's the point? Do you see how the Tower of Babel chaos effect kicks in? And that's exactly what the doomers and pillars want. That's what they want. They're telling you, don't enlist in the military, don't vote. I hope the Republicans lose. Is that your message? It's not my message. Told you, if that's a club, I don't want any part of it. The FBI spokesperson had to respond to Joe Kent yesterday, who again keeps just bullshitting everyone, saying that somehow his investigation that he had no authority to conduct at all into Charlie Kirk was somehow shut down? Joe Kent was not an investigator. Either is the National Counterterrorism Center. Here's the response by Ben, one of the spokespeople from the FBI, who I know. He says, a number of people have asked to respond to Joe Kent. He is being a dishonest hack. He worked for NCTC, which is not a law enforcement or investigative agency. He had zero role or 1811 investigative authority into this. Ben notes, this is like me saying I was blocked from playing receiver for the Commanders. It's an issue of having no business or, frankly, ability doing something, not an issue of access. Furthermore, which is true, the FBI actually made an early exception and allowed NCTC to assess intelligence reports, and international terrorism returned zero connections, none. Joe Kent kept making things up anyway. Then he notes the shameless media tour. I have nothing. There's nothing more I can tell you other than this guy's just lying to your face. You don't have to believe me. It's okay. I'm 100% confident in what I'm telling you. He's not 100% confident because he was there. He knows. He's 0% confident. He's just hoping people are going to provide cover for him in the media. He's not telling you the truth. He's just making that up. He was in no way blocked from his official role, doing what his official role was. No way. He's just lying. He wanted a different role. Well, I'd like a different role too. I'd like to be an economic advisor right now. What do you think, guys? I'm just going to walk into the White House and just say, hey, I feel like I'm entitled to be here. Don't block me. I know President Trump. Look, I got his number. I should be here. No, you're not an economic advisor. I saw this piece I'm going to play for you in a second. I'm just going to take a quick break. It's a short piece, but I saw it on X, and it's a video from TikTok explaining again how this counter messaging against the president on the war, the Republicans at the TSA lines, the Republicans did it. How this counter messaging actually works from within the tent. It's short, but it sums up what I told you yesterday. It does it a little better. Quick break. We'll be right back. Patriot Mobile. This year marks a critical moment for our country. As the opposition grows more aggressive and unapologetic, the fight now reaches into the everyday decisions we make. Patriot Mobile has been standing on the front lines fighting for freedom for more than 12 years. This is a great company. I know the owners of the company. They love this country. They love the Christian conservative movement. They don't mess around. They deliver top-tier wireless service. They're activists like me, and they're proud of it. They really, really care about the country, its values, and the Constitution. Patriot Mobile offers prioritized premium access on all three major U.S. networks, giving you the same or better coverage than the main carriers. That means fast speeds and dependable nationwide coverage backed by 100% U.S.-based customer support. They also offer unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, and more with simple, seamless activation. You can switch in minutes. We made the switch. They really helped me out. I was in a cell phone dead zone. Luckily, we had phones, and the other phone had Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile to the rescue. Let Patriot Mobile rescue you too. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Here's the difference. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you'll support a company that provides a powerful stream of giving to help the Christian conservative movement. Take a stand today. Go to patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT and use promo code Dan for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Dan. Check them out or call 972-PATRIOT. Thank you, Patriot Mobile. Here again, tying together what I was talking about yesterday, there is a very sophisticated effort to get you out of reality and into the world of ideas too. And the world of reality they want to remove you from is the world of work, the world of results, the world of if X, then Y, what's the Y, the world of testing ideas. They want to get you back into the world of ideas. And the idea they want to get you back into is nothing is happening. The president's just not doing anything. We're going to come in and save the day with our hidden knowledge. It's not real. It's amplified by BS. Check this out.
After Joe Kent was exposed as a leak and fled the White House, he went directly to Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, and him and Candace attended the Catholics for Catholics convention hosted by General Michael Flynn. The conspiratorial network of the operation continues to grow. Max Blumenthal, who is the son of top Hillary Clinton official Sidney Blumenthal, fabricated the fake story about Israel unaliving Charlie Kirk and used Joe Kent's wife, his current wife, and Candace Owens to spread it. It is now said that the left invented the Charlie Kirk Israel hoax to distract from the left's unaliving of Charlie Kirk.
Folks, there are a group of people out there being dog walked around by the left. Max Blumenthal, son of Sid Vicious, Clintonista, who we've covered extensively in my books on the whole Spygate fiasco and that disaster. Sid Blumenthal is like Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton's right-hand guy. This is his son, dog walking around a bunch of Twitterati trying to get you to believe crazy things, hopefully to contaminate a jury pool so that they can hurt the case against Charlie Kirk. I've never seen I can't believe people are falling for this. It's unreal. It is unbelievable. No, trust us. We have hidden knowledge. I wasn't allowed to investigate, but you were. Well, what did you find? Some stuff. Are you ever going to tell anyone? No. But I found some stuff. Well, what stuff? Stuff. Like stuffy stuff. Really? What's that? Yeah, exactly. $7. Watch my show. I'll tell you at a later date. I saw a fascinating tweet about it. I forget what the effect is called, but how when I saw this on Twitter this morning, there's this phenomenon, the psychological phenomenon of the unfilled task. So in other words, if a waiter will remember a lot about what people ordered at a table if they haven't paid the bill. And you're like, watch them. Are they going to pay? Are they going to pay? Are they going to pay? The minute the bill's paid and they sign, when they ask the waiter to recall it, they can't recall a lot of them was that because the task is finished. So the short-term memory just like wipes it out. This is what they do on a lot of these podcasts with the hidden knowledge trick. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. They say, Joe Kent has said this in nearly every interview. He knows something. But notice he still has not told you anything about what this something is. He's been on like 20 shows now. He's got the unfinished task thing going in your head. And that's why it's memorable. Because you've made the connection. Oh, he knows something. He's going to tell us at some point. They all do this. It's a big scam. They don't want you in the real world where that's testable. You know, folks, real evil exists in the world. It's going to be a little bit of a change from where we've been in the show, but I know a lot of you believe as I do that, listen, man, I have no explanation for some of the things I saw in my time in law enforcement, not just the last job, but the last job and the job before that in the NYPD too. I'm going to tell you something. Serious time. Time to put on the serious hat. There's no explanation other than spiritual evil. There's none. There's no rational maximizer theory. There's no theory of economics as to why people do these things. Rapes, torture, child abuse. It's just evil. The left will never accept that. They live in the world of ideas where evil isn't real and institutions overlay evil on top of people. But they never tell you what the institutions are. They just blame it on the man. You hear it all the time. Systemic discrimination. What's the system? I don't know, one of them. Conservatives live in the real world where we see evil every day and we have to deal with it. If you ever want to read a magnificent book on this, Thomas Sowell's book, A Conflict of Visions, is incredible. It's not a one-day read. Talks about how the left and the right will never see the world the same way if we don't believe in the existence of evil. I only say that because I saw this short news clip, and this kind of, I don't do like a lot of true crime stuff on the show outside of the true crimes committed by people in government elsewhere. But did you see this story of this woman, Ariel Koenig? This is just horrifying. She's out on a hike with her husband, who I think is an anesthesiologist. And she alleges, again, everyone's innocent until proven guilty. That's how the country works, thankfully. However, she alleges that her husband, like out of the blue, tries to kill her on the hike and just throw her off the cliff. This is just, it's about a minute of riveting testimony. But again, if this turns out to be true, you're going to argue to me that evil's not a real thing and society produces this kind of stuff. No, this stuff is there. It's family and a good upbringing that suppresses this natural impulse, unfortunately. This evil, embedded in the human soul. This is pretty spooky stuff. Check this out.
I mean, I was surprised. It felt almost like he was kidding at first. And I was like, what are you doing? But he had grabbed me really hard and was moving me. So we kind of wrestled a little bit, and I threw myself onto the ground because there's a lot of trees and shrubs there so that I could hold on. So he was first trying to pull me, try to get me closer to the cliff. And again, I could kind of hold on to the roots and stuff that were around us. And then he had a backpack that he was hiking with. And he, like I said, he's on top of me. And he had a syringe in his hand. And he says, hold still. And I see the syringe, and I just kind of like batted away from us both.
When you first saw that syringe in his hand, did you actually see where it came from?
I didn't see where it came from, no.
All right, and you said you were able to bat it. Do you know where it went?
It just fell on the ground sort of near us. It would have been to my left because I could still kind of see it in my periphery. So I was trying to make sure it wasn't going to get grabbed again.
Man, I saw that this morning again. I'm not the true crime show. There are a lot of shows out there that can fill that void. I'm not it. I only bring it up because every single morning in the last job, when we would get a briefing from all the teams, the FBI is broken down into divisions. You've got IOD, International Ops Division, Counterterror, Counterespionage. You got the Criminal Investigative Division, CID. When the CID guys would come in every morning with this just library of stuff that had happened on the overnight, murders, multi-million-dollar thefts, companies being shut down by ransomware people, VCAT cases, violent crime against children. You would be, you can't possibly process. It's not easy, all that evil at one time. You just can't. After an hour, I'd be like, hey, man, I'll be back in a few minutes. Let me take a breather just to process all this. Because they're dealing with their section. You're dealing with all of it. It's real, man. Conflict of Visions. Check it out. Book will change your life. And then if you're up for it, buy Vision of the Anointed, too. I didn't publish a book. Thomas Sowell's been around way before me. I have no financial interest in it whatsoever. Vision of the Anointed is another one. And you will see why us and the left will never be the same, and why the doomers are adopting the leftist strategy. Don't look at what's happening in the real world with Donald Trump. We live in the world of ideas that nothing's happening. You could go out in the real world and see all the things that actually happen. Where they're not interested. By the way, there's a multi-split screen on Fox right now. That if this does not highlight for you how the Donald Trump administration lives in the real world, does things that work in the real world, and the left is just in the world of bullshit ideas that fail when they cross the realm into the real world, this split screen sums it up. Sorry, if you're watching on demand. So there's a cabinet meeting going on right now, and Secretary Hegseth's talking about all of the accomplishments they've had in the Iran war, and thank you to our brave military for an unbelievable success. There's two other little split screen boxes like bugs in the corner. The other one is Maduro in court after President Trump went and got one of the world's worst hemispheric threats in our hemisphere, Maduro, out of Venezuela with no U.S. casualties. And then there's a third box. So Iranian successes, Pete's laying them out. President Trump's laying them out. Oh, do you see it? How did you do? Oh, I didn't even know we had a camera back there. I see a camera there. I didn't even know there's one over there. There you go. This is what's on Fox right now. Now, what's at the top? Look. Monitoring TSA lines. There's the Democrats. Here, I always tell you about contrast, why a diamond looks better on a black background, right? Here's your contrast. We've basically destroyed the Iranian mullah, death to America theocracy. We've got one of our worst hemispheric threats out of here, even though everyone told us we couldn't do it. And then here's the Democrats shutting down the government, long TSA lines. There's your contrast right there on the screen. That's the choice you have coming up in the midterm elections. That's why I am serious as a freaking heart attack. 10, 10, and 10. All right, I want to leave you today on a cool note. Pull up that Nature article, because sometimes, listen, it's not the health hack show either, but you know I'm obsessed with not dying, don't get dead. How many times I tell you about how much I love this red light therapy? Read this article. Don't take my word for it. Read the article. There's an article in Nature by Lynn Peoples, like Pebbles with a peep. The surprising science behind red light therapy and how it really works. I'm telling you, man, full disclosure, this was not paid for. Bone Charge has one of these as a sponsor. They had nothing to do with this. They didn't ask me to put. I'm just trying to help. This is the Dan Bongino Health Hack PSA. I use red light therapy every night because I can't walk. These guys see me get up after the show. Thankfully, they don't keep the camera rolling. It is embarrassing. My left knee is falling apart. The minute I put this thing on, it feels better. Is it placebo? I don't know. I put it on my shoulder. I put it on a wound I had in my lower leg. Healed like freaking Wolverine from X-Men. I'm telling you, man, this stuff is legit. Read the article. The surprising science behind red light therapy and how it really works. Read about the mitochondria, light wave nanometer absorption. It's fantastic. It's very readable. I'm just trying to help. All right, folks, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We got Haley's show coming up at noon, rumble.com/Haley, and Vince every morning at 8 a.m., rumble.com/Vince. And if you would please do me a favor, go to the App Store on your Google phone, your Android, or your iTunes, and your iPhone. Go to the App Store. Please do it today. Did you do that on purpose? Slipping the Trump eyes in there? You got to make that part of the show from now. Whenever you guys, it's so great, the Trump eyes. I'm sorry, I get distracted. It's so funny. If you missed the beginning of the show, go tune in. Please go to the App Store, download the Rumble app. It is free. Sign up for our show. Give us a follow there. Or if you want to go on the web, rumble.com/Bongino. We really appreciate it. I will see you back here tomorrow.
Hey there, I'm Vince.
I'm Haley Carania,
Host of Vince.
Host of Scrolling with Haley.
You can always catch my show right here
on the Bongino Report channel.
Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, weekday mornings.
Noon weekdays. And if you miss it, no worries. The show will always be right here and anywhere you find a podcast. Thanks for watching.